So, the kind folks over at Tate Multimedia had sent over the Kao demo that I played at PAX East so that I can get a really good feel of the game at my home setup. I've played the demo multiple times now and am able to get a good grasp on my thoughts about the game. Let's talk about it.
Whoa!
What's up guys, Canadian Guy here, and back with a brand new Kao the Kangaroo video. So, a couple of weeks back, I went to PAX East in Boston. It was an absolute blast to finally meet new and old friends. The biggest thing for me though, was that Kao the Kangaroo had a demo booth. I played the game, grabbed some footage, talked with the PR team, and it was an absolute blast. In fact, I was surprised when earlier this week, I was sent a code for the PAX demo for me to play at my home computer, which I thought was awesome. So I've been able to really replay the demo quite a bit, in the comfort of my own home, and without a bunch of people staring at me as I was setting up and struggling with the recording equipment. Yeah, shout out to Sean though for helping me out. Now, as I mentioned, this is the same demo from the gameplay footage that I uploaded, just in a bit better quality. I was able to set the graphics to ultra, snoop around, and try different things. And I have a mixture of thoughts, from positive to negative, and actually one large overarching concern. But before we get to that, let me explain some of the things that some of you asked about from the previous gameplay video. So, as you know, this is the second demo that Kao the Kangaroo has released, the first one releasing during Steam Fest. While the first demo focused a lot on combat, this one focused a lot more on the platforming aspect of the game, which actually I appreciated a lot. Now, for those wondering, yes, the gloves are sentient, as in they talk to Kao and have a personality of their own. They do sound a bit like Uka Uka from CTR though.
Although, please try not to burn yourself, at least not too badly. It would be a shame for the fun to be over so soon.
Welcome to the adventure area. You can travel around this area and practice your driving skills.
But, unlike the first demo where we just clobbered enemies to death, this demo introduced a new power. Now, I was initially shocked as I did not think that the elemental power would be used for, well, what it's used for. The new set of glove powers are the fire gloves. When Kao finds a fire token and equips it, he can unlock and burn away new paths to continue through the level. In this level specifically, it's used to burn webs, wood, and even kickstart moving platforms. Another fun use is finding branching paths that leads to new areas that has secret collectibles for you to find. However, for each time you use the fire gloves, you immediately lose the token that you had equipped. You can find and have up to 3 tokens equipped and can rotate through different tokens, granting new powers to your gloves. Now, of course, we only have access to the fire gloves in this demo, but we can assume that there will be other elements that we can find and use to traverse future levels. While we're on the topic of the gloves though, let's talk about what I really liked about this demo so far. What I really like about these gloves is the potential of how they can be used to solve puzzles and discover new areas. The different possible interactions that kind of requires you to stop and think for a moment to figure it out. Very much like dungeons in The Legend of Zelda. One of my favorite ideas is the fact that you can approach the boomerang station, punch it with the fire element glove, and it becomes a fire boomerang, which then is used to throw at the furnace or boiler, which then triggers the drawbridge to go down and allows you to continue through the level. I love that kind of stuff. When we get later on in the game and more access to other abilities, I hope to see more interactions like this, because I can think of so many potential fun and interesting puzzle interactions. The art direction of the game is also really nice and fun, taking a lot of inspiration from Spyro Reignited and Crash Bandicoot 4, but there's a lovely contrast of colors as well in this level. The dark blue rocks with the bright orange and yellow magma makes the level composition pop. It seems like someone understood their color theory. I also really like the level design itself. There's a bunch of secret areas to find, but what's cool is that if you explore the level enough on the main path, you actually can get a sneak peek of said secret areas that you can access. It might be up ahead in the level, or it might be behind where you just came from, causing you to either push forwards or go back to try and find the secrets of the level. Also, the collectibles are fun and easy to keep track of. You have these runes, which I believe are the main level collectibles, KO letters, and hidden gems. However, to counter my own point that I just made, there are these parchment scrolls that just pop out of enemies. I don't know what they mean or what their use is, but they're not that hard to find, so I guess we'll find out what they mean when the full game comes out. So this actually allows me to segue to what I'm not so thrilled about. Now, what I like to do though, whenever I give a critique on a game, is actually show what I mean and how to fix it. So I won't just be complaining and giving no solutions. I'll actually also try to show some examples of what I'm talking about to try and fix those issues. My first problem is, well, the soundtrack. The music so far in both the demos are just very, very ambient. It doesn't add too much personality to the level itself. Now, music isn't going to be a make or break for me when it comes to this game, but music does set a tone. Honestly, a good comparison of what I mean is a level like Dark Hollow from Spyro. It's many people's most favorite level, and yet the level design itself is very, very, very basic. I mean, take a look at Dark Hollow gameplay, but with KO's soundtrack. See, a lot of the magic of this level is just gone. I'm not saying the music has to be on par with Spyro either, or has to be as memorable as Spyro, but something that at least gives more personality, something that gives it identity and some form of recognizability to the level, so that you can just hear the soundtrack and know immediately what the level is. Another thing I would love to see is some more cinematic pieces. Remember that puzzle example I gave earlier that I liked? I'm going to use that as an example. Right now, you ignite the boomerang, aim it up, and throw it. It triggers the boiler, and in one fell swoop, the drawbridge drops. But there should be more of an impact here. Something a bit more fun, more fanfare. Something that basically screams, "You did it!" Zelda does this example perfectly, hitting you with the classic sound effect. So here's what I think it should look like. I don't have access to cinematic tools, so if this seems like a bit of a botch job, I am sorry, but here's an example. I hope this gets across what I'm trying to say. Also, there's just some very muted sound effects, like the drawbridge and some other minor stuff. A lot of it is minor, sure, but when there's a lot of sound effects that feel either muted or missing, it makes the game feel like its impact isn't as heavy. Also, and a note that I mentioned before in the previous demo, the animations are still a little stiff, but I will say they are better than the first demo. But at the start of this video, I had mentioned something that I said concerned me, something that makes me worried for the game. Now, if you sat down and watched my previous gameplay, or played the first demo that came out from Steamfest, you may have noticed that there are some things that are not quite as polished. Now, I was unsure if it was because of the laptop at the convention that was causing some of the issues that I was having, or if it was the game itself. But now that I got the game on my home rig and the settings cranked to the max, there are a lot of little issues that need to be polished. And they're not that big either, but there's clipping, popping, abrupt despawning, jittery camera, things being destroyed but not looking like it is destroyed, etc, etc. Even at one point, I had lost a life and accidentally picked up an extra crystal collectible. Now, Each of these individual issues on their own are so minor, it's barely even worth mentioning. But when you have one of these tiny issues popping up every other minute, it starts to add up. Now, I wouldn't even be saying any of this if this game was about 3 months from release. These tiny issues are completely normal for game development, but the game is coming out on May 27th, 2022, and this Kao demo was a build that was assembled for PAX East 1 month before the release date. This makes me a little nervous. I would hate for this game to suffer a death by 1,000 tiny cuts due to such small little bugs that can easily be ironed out. Now, of course, they might be able to iron out most of these tiny silly bugs in a month, and that would be amazing. Of course, these bugs also can be fixed through bug fixes and patches after the game has launched as well. But it would be nice to see the game come out in tip-top shape, especially when it comes to the review scores. All in all, I'm super excited for Kao the Kangaroo and can't wait to see his comeback in full form. And I also can't wait to review it and post it on the channel. If you want to stay tuned for that, make sure to subscribe.